Big Blue Nation traveled nearly 1,000 miles to get an early look at what this upcoming basketball season will bring. Yesterday, Kentucky got its Big Blue Bahamas tour off to a great start as Aaron Harrison continued to build off his late season heroics, leading all scorers in a 25-point blowout of Puerto Rico. Wildcat fans also got their first look at freshman Tyler Ulis, who showed why he's one of the electrifying young players in college basketball. It's game 2 of the Big Blue Bahamas tour, coming up next. Kendall Isaacs Gymnasium in the heart of Nassau, Bahamas. A cozy home today to a dynamite basketball game. The University of Kentucky versus Charlons-Reims. Now Kentucky got off to a terrific start in this Big Blue Bahamas tour. A 74-49 win over Puerto Rico yesterday. 20 assists on 29 field goals, shot it at 50% from the floor. Aaron Harrison leading all scorers with 15 points. Hi, everybody. Kevin Connors, Jay Billis, delighted to be with you. Day 2 of this unique 6-game exhibition, Big Blue Bahamas. Well, as we've mentioned, the week got off to a terrific start for Kentucky. All 12 players who were in uniform yesterday got to play in the game. John Calipari shuttling in 5 players in at a time. Jay, we got to see 3 of the 4 freshmen. Trey Lyles, the only one who did not play because of an injury. What stood out to you about yesterday's game?
Well, first of all, it's great to have you back from the beach with your metal detector and your black socks and sandals. Thanks for coming to the game. I couldn't have been more impressed yesterday with Kentucky. I thought they did a tremendous job of, as you said, shuttling in and platooning players. But they shared the ball. They were unselfish. They passed it. And defensively, they were all over the place. Were there things they could improve upon? Absolutely. But they've got the blueprint for a Final Four national championship caliber season.
Kentucky wore down the Puerto Rican national team yesterday. That will not be the case today, Jay. Charlons-Reims from the A division in the French league. Several notable former U.S. college players.
Very talented team. Tasman Mitchell played at LSU, was an all-SEC performer there. And Deshaun Butler, the Kentucky fans will remember from West Virginia, an all-Big East player that led his West Virginia team to the NCAA Tournament Final Four in 2010.
Same starting lineup as it was yesterday for Kentucky. The Harrison twins, Devin Booker, the freshman, Alex Poythress, who was tremendous yesterday, and Dakari Johnson. Now, the one wrinkle for Kentucky that is different from yesterday, John Calipari will not be coaching the team. Instead, he's turned the reins of the team over to his assistant, Kenny Payne. He's been at Kentucky since 2010, a member of that 1986 national championship team at Louisville that Jay is so fond of course. And there is John Calipari, top row here inside the Kendall Isaacs gym. It's the first time, Jay, since he's been at Kentucky that he will not be coaching the team from the sidelines.
You would think with all his pull, he could have gotten a better seat.
The officials, John Hampton, Brent Hampton, and Bart Lennox. All officials out of the SEC. Charlons-Reims out of the A division in the French Professional League, and we are underway. Tip controlled by Charlons-Reims.
And this is a team that has got some professional players that have played college basketball, that have been European pros for years. They are tough, they are strong, and they've got a good deal of skill. This is going to be a very difficult game for Kentucky.
First turnover of the game, Charlons-Reims.
Charlons-Reims trying to get the ball into Gary Florimond. And Alex Poythress did a really nice job defensively. He had a great game yesterday, playing with tremendous energy. The question for Kentucky is, can he and will he do it again against a better, more physical team? Can he match the performance he put on in yesterday's game against Puerto Rico?
Charlons-Reims starts out in the man-to-man. Jay, give us an idea of what the mindset for this professional team as Poythress gets Kentucky on the board. What's the mindset for this Charlons-Reims team?
Well, they're a tough basketball team. I think they want to keep Kentucky out of transition and keep this from being a game where it's all over Kentucky's all over the backboards. They got to keep them off the glass and offensive rebounds. And so far, they've had a rough time to start.
Andrew Harrison forces it up. Kept alive by Dakari Johnson, who has it stripped away by Remy Leska, the point guard of this Charlons-Reims team.
And that's really where Kentucky can attack, is against Leska, try to wear him out, because Kentucky is much deeper at the guard spots and much bigger.
Booker comes away with the steal and a whistle and a foul on the floor. First of the game called on Remy Leska.
Well, Kevin, you can already see that the pressure is starting to get to Charlons-Reims. And Alex Poythress, who really played well. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds, a couple of blocks. And I thought he got shorted by the stat crew, some blocks and rebounds. But he played very, very well.
They're going to reset the 35-second shot clock, playing with college rules here, despite the fact that the Charlons-Reims is a professional team in France.
Really, the college rules, the big challenge for Charlons-Reims is they play much more physical in Europe than they do in the United States on the college level. So they're going to have to adjust to that.
Good-looking two-man game between Harrison and Johnson. Here's Johnson down low, losing his footing. And he's called for a traveling violation.
Kentucky moves the basketball. Of their 29 field goals yesterday, they had 20 assists. And you can see just got his feet tangled up going against Tasman Mitchell inside. Mitchell just kind of played behind him and backed up. Johnson could have just probably shot over him right when he caught it instead of trying to back him in.
This is Leska on the drive, sort of a Euro step there, and it's stolen away by the Cats in transition. Booker will push, lobs it up for Poythress, who was not home. And a turnover, something of a sloppy start to the first 2 minutes of this game. Well, look at the notable players on this Charlons-Reims team. And if you're familiar, as Jay pointed out at the top of the broadcast, Deshaun Butler, Tasman Mitchell, one of the great players in the history of LSU, Darrell Watkins, Swatkins as he was known in his days, patrolling the center of the paint in the Carrier Dome in Syracuse, New York. Good-looking left-handed running jumper by Mark Payne, one of the great players in the history of UC Davis basketball.
Mark Payne, an excellent shooter, showing he can put the ball on the deck. And whenever you get a handoff against Charlons-Reims, they are going to set a screen right after that. So you've got to be prepared. And Kentucky's big enough and versatile enough that they can switch those screens.
Payne running the floor well, but he missed on the layup attempt, and now the Cats have numbers. Devin Booker did not shoot it well yesterday, and he misfires on his first 3 today.
Well, it's just a matter of time before Booker is knocking down shots left and right, because he's a truly outstanding shooter. But Kevin, one of the things I've been most impressed with Devin Booker is his ability to guard. And he does a good job defensively and can guard multiple spots. And you can see Kentucky is switching right now on exchanges. And they can do that because they've got big guards and they've got versatile wings.
Well, Aaron Harrison called for the foul as Deshaun Butler attempted the 3. And moments ago, Jay, a good look at the versatility of Mark Payne.
Well, he got a bad matchup there with Dakari Johnson, and that's where Devin Booker should have switched off as soon as Payne put the ball on the floor.
Deshaun Butler, what a tremendous career he had at West Virginia. Started off with 20 points in the NIT championship game as a freshman against Clemson. I think the memory, Jay, that a lot of folks may have, the Final Four against Duke, suffered that terrifying knee injury. He tore his ACL, sprained his MCL, suffered 2 bone bruises. But it's good to see him back playing professionally. Had a bit of a cup of coffee in the NBA. Second-round pick of the Miami Heat back in 2010.
Yeah, drafted number 42 by the Heat. And he played not only for Bob Huggins the last 2 years of his career at West Virginia, but started out playing for John Beilein, now the great coach at Michigan.
Here's Harrison finding an open space, and he knocks it down. Good-looking move by Aaron Harrison.
It's not many great perimeter shooters that can put the ball on the deck and hit pull-up jumpers with the ease that Aaron Harrison can. He's really improved his pull-up game, and he just looks better overall, looks in better shape. His mobility is better, he's quicker. I thought both he and his brother Andrew played very well against Puerto Rico.
What did Andrew tell us yesterday about his diet? He said he's eliminated fast food, he's trimmed down a bit.
Yeah, that doesn't seem reasonable to me. I would never do that.
Open look for Tasman Mitchell, and he drills the 3, first of the game for the former LSU star. Harrison working behind a screen, and he's too strong that time. Dakari Johnson tries to keep it alive, and it's last touched by the Cats.
Well, Charlons-Reims is making it very difficult for Kentucky to run half-court offense. And they're not getting into their actions as easily as they did yesterday against Puerto Rico. And they're not getting as much in transition.
Look at John Calipari and another one of his assistants, Tony Barbee, former head coach at Auburn.
So a line change for Kentucky, and this was the lineup that yesterday against Puerto Rico really put the pressure on defensively. They went full court, they got out, and they really pressured. Tyler Ulis, number 3, guarding the ball now against Lionel Chalmers. He was the guy that really set everything up.
If you have not seen him play, as the 3 is knocked down by Lionel Chalmers, former star at Xavier, cousin of Mario Chalmers, and Charlons-Reims. Already, Jay, we're seeing a different caliber team than we saw yesterday in the Puerto Rican team.
Much more efficient, much stronger, much more versatile. Right there on the catch, and Lionel Chalmers played at Xavier on that Elite 8 team that had David West and Romain Sato. He's a terrific player.
Ulis will fire a deep 3 that time. We did not see that yesterday, but Ulis connects on his first attempt.
Well, you really have to appreciate the way that Tyler Ulis plays. He is under control, puts great pressure on the ball. I think he sees a pass, if not 2 passes ahead on the offensive end, and he plays the ball on the defensive end. Most guys just play their man. He plays the ball. Good
looking move by Butler along the baseline. It will count as Karl Towns deflected the ball as it was in the rim. So an opportunity for a 3-point play when we come back. We are getting to see one of the electric young players in college basketball. He will quickly be a fan favorite across the nation. Tyler Ulis, as Kentucky and Charlons-Reims are early here in the Bahamas. Kevin Connors, Jay Billis back in Nassau, Bahamas. Charlons-Reims out of the A division of the French League, an early 4-point lead on Kentucky. Tyler Ulis just connecting on a 3-point field goal. Jay, yesterday he was a pest in every way against Puerto Rico.
I was so impressed with the play of Tyler Ulis. Paul Biancardi, who heads up ESPN's recruiting, had told me just how impressed he was, and everything that Paul said was right and then some. That this is an outstanding freshman class that John Calipari has brought in, but Ulis has something a little bit different than most freshman point guards. He's mature beyond his years, and he's going to add a totally different dimension to this Kentucky team this season.
I agree, and I think you can add that name to the point guards to play under John Calipari over the years. You talk about some of the all-stars in the NBA. Derrick Rose, a former MVP. John Wall coming into his own as an all-star. Tyreke Evans and Brandon Knight, of course, still in the league as well. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say you can add Ulis's name to that point at some point. He appears to be the real deal for Big Blue Nation.
Well, I think the thing for Ulis is he's got the ability to be a great college basketball player. Now, his pro potential may not be the same as some of these other guys we were just talking about, but I think he's going to be the type of player at Kentucky that will stay for 4 years. And can you imagine him as good as he is now and smart? Can you imagine him as a senior point guard? Talk about old school. He's really good now. He plays like a senior now.
Just does not seem to make any bad decisions when the ball is in his hands. And there's a look at Karl Towns, jump hook off the mark, and Darryl Watkins in the game for the first time. Former Syracuse big man gobbles up that rebound.
And Watkins forcing Towns to shoot that shot oversized.
3 on the way by Mitchell is way too strong, and here comes Willis leading the break.
Derek Willis did some nice things in the ball game yesterday against Puerto Rico, and he's a guy that most folks don't see in the top 10 rotation because freshman Trail Lyles, 6'10", is out right now with a lower leg injury, as is Willie Cauley-Stein. So 2 guys that would definitely be in the top 10 aren't even available on this trip. Shows you how deep Kentucky is. Frightening. Nice.
They lob it to Watkins, a bit too strong by Chalmers.
But he was wide open too. That would have been an easy layup if that pass were on target.
And they try to establish Karl Towns down low. And again, this is a different level of defense and a different level of team, this Charlons-Reims team. And John Calipari said at the start of this trip, we'll be lucky to win 2 games. He may be right after seeing Darryl Watkins put one in, and the lead is up to 6.
I don't think Kentucky's going to have to worry about winning more than 2 games. I think they will, but right now they're facing a challenge, and if they continue with this platoon system, it may be even more difficult. You see Mark Payne putting the ball on the floor. He's already gone around Dakari Johnson, now around Derek Willis. When he gets a bigger guy on him, you can bet that he's going to continue to drive that ball. And Kentucky really hasn't driven the ball much. They've been throwing it around the perimeter, but they haven't put it on the floor and really put a lot of pressure on this Charlons-Reims defense.
Jay, a player like Karl Towns, what's he going to learn going up against a big body like Darryl Watkins, professional players?
I think to use his body, he's a tremendous talent. And he's got a big body, and as he learns to use it and to lock guys down into the post and to play angles and get position and get deeper post position, I mean, you're looking at a top 5 NBA pick at some point. I mean, he's not just a good talent, he's a great talent.
Chalmers lobs it up again to Watkins, and now here comes Ulis. Drops it off to Willis, but it's stolen away. And Charlons-Reims has numbers. Watkins missing on the layup.
A little sloppy on both ends, which you expect a little bit in August. The Charlons-Reims, they just got back from their break as well. They've only been practicing for 3 or 4 days. They just got back to France and came immediately here, so they don't have all their stuff in either.
Ulis, good looking feed. What a pass by Tyler Ulis to Karl Towns.
Some players look, other players see. And Tyler Ulis sees everything. What an impressive young man, impressive player. Forcing Lionel Chalmers to turn his back with that pressure on the ball.
This is Guy Eddy in the game for the first time. Up and under, but he misses on the layup.
Guy Landry played at Gonzaga for Mark Few.
Towns will fire a 3. He has that range. We saw it yesterday. Misfiring on the first 3 attempt of the game for him today.
And that's a shot he can make, but I'm not sure it was the shot for this particular situation. Kentucky's got to start getting to the basket. They're not putting Charlons-Reims in a position to foul.
Watkins fouled on the attempt. He'll shoot a pair when we come back. We've sung the praises of Tyler Ulis. Look and see for yourself, the diminutive point guard. Setting up Karl Towns for an easy 2. Kentucky down 4.
Four-man group headed to Kentucky. Devin Booker headed to Kentucky.
John Calipari thinks that Tyler Ulis could lead the country in assists.
Karl Anthony Towns.
University of Kentucky.
I think that I may be the most versatile player in the country. Kentucky.
It's kind of a different version of Julius Randle. They're all guys that can score. The Kentucky recruiting class.
Well, 4 of the top 25 players in the ESPN 100. An outstanding freshman class. And Jay, we've gotten to see 3 of them. One player that we have yet to see is Trey Lyles, who may be one of the best big men coming into college basketball in the country himself.
Well, Trey Lyles is the highest rated recruit in this Kentucky recruiting class, which our ESPN recruiting experts, Reggie Rankin, Paul Biancardi, ranked the 2nd best recruiting class in the country. And Lyles is 6'10" out of Indianapolis. A really versatile scorer, guy that can play both inside and out, but he can face up, a good passer, very skilled player. And he can face up from 18 feet and in. His mid-range game is very good, and he's got some advanced post moves. You put him out on the floor, and he is definitely in this rotation. Now, whether he starts or not, who knows? But he's going to play big minutes for this team, and he's going to be a very important contributor.
He will not play in this 6-game exhibition because of a leg injury. And the man he was sitting next to, Willie Cauley-Stein, the same thing. Will not see him in action, but we will be joined by Willie Cauley-Stein at some point here during this game, sometime in the second half.
Willie Cauley-Stein, who is an excellent shot blocker. His mobility is off the charts. He missed the back end of the NCAA tournament last year with a leg injury as well. And he's been doing drill work, and as soon as practice starts, he'll be ready to go.
Charlons-Reims, and now in a 2-3 zone here. What have you noticed about them defensively, Jay?
Well, they do a pretty decent job of staying in front of the ball, but it's in part because Kentucky hasn't driven the ball like Andrew Harrison just did there. I think if Kentucky puts the ball on the floor and attacks the basket, they can put this team into some help side situations. And any time that Darryl Watkins goes for a block shot, that's going to open up the offensive glass. They don't have size beyond him that can keep Kentucky off the glass. And that's where I think the Wildcats can really pound a lot of teams, is with their ability to get second shots. That's what they did to Wisconsin last year and to a lot of other teams, frankly. in the NCAA tournament. They were able to get a ton of second shots. Just wasn't their initial shot, it was their second shot. Already Kentucky trying to pick up the pressure with the size out front with their Andrew Harrison.
This is Lionel Chalmers. Skip pass finds the open man, Michel Morandis, who some folks in the Rockies will recognize. Played his college ball at Colorado, second team all Big 12 as a junior and senior, and it's given Charlons-Reims a 6-point lead.
Good pass inside.
Here's Johnson, just connected on a 3-point play moments ago, this time called for the travel.
That's where Dakari Johnson can really improve. When he catches the ball, all he's got to do is catch it, wait for the space to clear, and then make a move, or just get rid of it. But one thing he really needs to concentrate on is getting deeper post position. A guy with his size, you'd like him to get post position as deep as possible so he doesn't have to make a post move, he can just make a power move. Look how far out Charlons-Reims has to start their offense because of the pressure.
Butler on the drive, but he's fouled on the attempt.
You make a team start their offense 4 feet further out, 5 feet further out. That was 15 feet further out than normal. Then every pass is longer, every dribble move is longer. It's 3 dribbles to get to the basket instead of 2 or 1. That really helps your entire defense to do that. Look where Da'Sean Butler's got to start that move. That's like 5 dribbles to get to the basket, and Kentucky can recover and help.
Da'Sean Butler knocks down the first, as you see Aaron Harrison and the assistant coach today. He's the head coach, Kenny Payne, with John Calipari in the stands behind us. He said he didn't want to watch. Didn't rather want to coach all 6 games down here. He says it's only August. His team gets tired of hearing the same voice over and over again. I believe they called a foul on the blockout attempt, so it'll stay Cats basketball. Eddie getting his hand in the passing lane, and it'll again stay Kentucky ball.
This is one area where Kentucky will continue to improve their execution on out of bounds underneath. So early right now to expect them to, or any team, to execute perfectly on their sets.
Here's Harrison drawing a crowd, drops it off, and Poythress can't hold on to it. Already the 8th turnover for Kentucky here, and we're just 10.5 minutes into this first half.
And not all of those turnovers have been forced. But that Charlons-Reims did force Andrew Harrison to angle out his drive. They didn't give him a straight line drive. Now Kentucky in a 2-3 zone, and this can be a very good zone team in time.
Morandis missing on the 3. And it'll be Kentucky ball. Well, that's something that John Calipari said that he would consider this year. He would have a zone day at some point, and it appears that day is today. And you talked about it, Jay, the ability with the players that he has to implement that sort of a defense.
Well, because of the size that they've got, it's just something that they have to commit to. And John will be the first to admit that he doesn't like to play zone. And the first 3 that's hit, he would come out of it. That's why he wants to see a lot of zone today, because he knows his assistants won't be quite as skittish about playing it as he might be.
Booker had Johnson had the first attempt blocked away by Watkins, but the second time he stuck with it and drew the foul.
That is a strength of this Kentucky team, the offensive glass. Johnson does a really nice job of just moving Darryl Watkins, he's not an easy player to move, moving him right under the basket and getting that position. And as he keeps him occupied, that's where Alex Poythress can get to the offensive glass.
Charlons-Reims will take a timeout. We'll keep it here.
John Calipari was discussing the game with his assistant Tony Barbee, who was the head coach at Auburn last year and whose birthday it was yesterday, along with another Kentucky assistant, John Robic. Both of them shared birthdays yesterday, and I forgot to get him a present. I feel awful.
And while we're wishing happy birthdays, by the way, Paul Biancardi, Slice came over to us before the game and said, whatever you do, make sure you wish Paul a happy birthday. So we do the same here on this broadcast today. We talked about the zone defense, Jay, and the challenge of playing it. Now, it's one thing to say you want to play zone. It's another thing altogether to be able to be a team that does play zone well. Explain the difference there.
Well, I think, first of all, I think you have to commit to playing zone. It's not something you can just throw out there every once in a while. It's something you have to commit to and practice and work on it and believe in it in order for the players to believe in it. But I think with the size and the length and athleticism that this Kentucky team has, it can be a very good zone team and make it difficult for other teams to penetrate into that zone and force them to shoot over the top. Syracuse, as we discuss almost ad nauseum, does probably the best job at that. But it doesn't mean it's the sole province of the Orange to do it. Kentucky can do it as well. Kentucky's really gotten off to a difficult start shooting the ball. They're shooting under 40%. Part of that is the quality of shot that they have settled for. They haven't gotten to the rim as often. They're 5 of 14 from the field. But they can get better shots than they've been getting thus far. You give credit to Charlons-Reims for their defense, but I think a lot of it has been attributable to the shots that Kentucky has settled for.
As Johnson misses both free throws, that is an area he must improve. Ball is stolen. Aaron Harrison taking it right at Guy Eddy. And then the terrific ball pressure by Andrew Harrison.
Well, this is one reason you may not want to play as much zone, because these big and athletic guards can get out and put pressure on. That was an area where they were not quite as good last year. Defensively, Andrew and Aaron Harrison were not great. They were good, but they were not great. And they've got the potential to be much better this year. And I think they've shown that in the last couple games, that they have improved on both ends of the floor.
Harrison drops it off in a good-looking two-man game. Johnson the finish.
That little screen roll is very difficult to guard because of Andrew Harrison's size, his ability to get to the basket. And what a beautiful drop-off to Dakari Johnson. This is an excellent team that Kentucky's got. When they play like this, they are going to be really, really hard to beat.
It's been murder getting Jay Billis away from the diving board over at the Hilton Pool, but some fun in the sun here in Nassau, Bahamas, as Big Blue Bahamas Kentucky's exhibition tour continues. And again tomorrow, 1 Eastern here on ESPNU, you'll see Kentucky play the Puerto Rican National B Squad, followed by the debut of a live game on the SEC Network, which gets underway Thursday night. You'll see it Friday, Kentucky versus the Dominican Republic B Squad, and then this same Charlons-Reims team on Saturday on the SEC Network.
I mean, who are we kidding? That was video of our ESPN production meeting yesterday, preparation for this game.
Off the drive. Payne gave it off, and then fall-away jumper goes down by Gary Florimon in the game for the first time.
Wait, and if that is the quality of shot that Charlons-Reims is going to have to rely upon, it's going to be very difficult for them to continue to score at a high pace. They've been relying upon keeping Kentucky away from the basket, but that's not been the case the last 3 minutes.
Now, you talked about the ball pressure that time by Dominique Hawkins. It'll stay Charlons-Reims basketball, but Kentucky is up inside the Charlons-Reims defenders.
Well, this is the way I think Kentucky wants to play all the time, to put pressure on for 40 minutes. And they went about 10 minutes where they didn't put a whole lot of pressure on except in limited circumstances, but they're doing it now, and it's a much better looking way to play, isn't it?
Hawkins will try a three. As Towns goes down hard, looked like he banged his elbow on the floor, but the freshman is quickly up.
It looked like he went right over the top of Derek Willis. And that was probably a little bit too quick of a shot by Dominique Hawkins. That's, I think, something that they've had so much success in the last 3 minutes or so getting the ball to the rim. It's certainly not a bad shot, but I think a better one was available to put even more pressure on this team. Sticking with the 2-3 zone. Look at the length along the baseline.
Quick trigger that time by Lionel Chalmers, and it's off the mark. Cats have numbers. The alley-oop. Marcus Lee, the finish on the Dominique Hawkins pass. Big Blue Nation is on its feet.
This zone small up top, but really big along the baseline.
3 on the way for Chalmers. Into the hands of Hawkins. Willis.
Sooner or later, Kevin, this Kentucky team has that explosive quality that they can just take off on you.
Mark Payne and Charlons-Reims has gone cold. Hawkins will try another 3.
John Calipari may be falling in love with zone, being able to watch this as a spectator. Beautiful pass on the break by Hawkins to Marcus Lee, and the spectacular finish. But this has been done defensively, and Kentucky running out of that 2-3 zone. When you're in a zone, you are aligned to run and aligned to rebound. And I think John Calipari likes what he sees. Got a little Tarkanian with the towel.
That's right. And I think Kenny Payne, who's coaching Kentucky right now, is going to say, hey, you know, Coach, I got this the rest of the way.
Yeah, take the rest of the year off.
With this talent, no problem.
14-2 run set up by some pressure defense in both man and zone.
Well, this reminder, you can catch the FIBA Under-17 World Championship comes your way 6:15 a.m. on Tuesday here on ESPNU. From Dubai, United Arab Emirates. It's Team USA taking on Japan tomorrow, 6:15 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU. Also available live on Watch ESPN. A very talented team, Jay. We talked about them a bit yesterday. The new crop of young players, the Under-17 team, and about some of the top 5 players a part of Team USA.
Well, Ivan Rabb and Malik Newman, 2 of the bigger names on that team, but you're also talking about guys like Harry Giles, Tyus Battle, DJ King, who played at St. Vincent St. Mary High School, the same high school that produced LeBron James, and he and LeBron James actually work out quite a bit together when James is in town. He's going to be in town a lot more lately, I hear.
I heard something about that. Well, Big Blue Nation has been vocal today. Yesterday was more of an exhibition. This is a dogfight right now, and the Cats have come all the way back to open up a 4-point lead.
Well, Kentucky started out 5 of 14 from the field, and we talked about their shot selection. They've hit 6 of their last 7, mostly because they've run off their defense and they've attacked the basket.
Mostly perimeter shots now for Charlons-Reims as Deshaun Butler misfires.
Well, that zone is just shut off the middle. They're not having to guard as many screens. They're not having to switch. They've really forced Charlons-Reims into throwing the ball around the perimeter and not attacking. That's a foul.
And they will, in fact, get one. A bit of a hold that time on Gary Florimon. 15th foul as you take a look at Nikola Antic, head coach of this team, took over in 2010. Signed an extension this offseason to remain in charge for 1 more season. His son is a member of the team, Luka Antic.
Antic played professional basketball up until age 41.
How about the finish by Karl Towns, and the freshmen are electrifying this building.
Just a fake handoff and took it right to the basket. Really well executed by Kentucky.
Finally, they work it down low, and Tasman Mitchell is fouled on the way up.
The inbounds man comes off for a handoff. Florimon played the handoff instead of staying between Towns and the basket, and Towns took advantage of it. And on the other end, against the 2-3 zone, that pass from the top shouldn't get down underneath the basket very often, if ever. And as this team plays more and more zone with their length And when they're alert, I think they'll take that away more often than not.
Jay, I asked you this yesterday of the Puerto Rican team. How about this Charlons-Reims team? Give us an idea, put into perspective the caliber team that they would be of teams that Kentucky will face this season.
Well, they'd be a major college basketball team. Now, would they be as good of a team as Kentucky plays? No. But they would, you know, all these guys played high-level college basketball. They're very good players. This team doesn't have the size or the depth at the guard position that Kentucky has. And they don't have the depth overall that Kentucky has.
But as an opponent, they would be an SEC caliber team, no question.
Here's Willis left open. Cats staying in that 2-3 zone, which again, if you're just joining us, is something John Calipari says he'd like to at least consider as the line shift comes on again. And the starters returning to the game, the Harrison twins, Devin Booker, Alex Poythress, and Dakari Johnson.
The one thing about these exhibition games for the pro teams, the European pro teams, they want to win and they want to play well and they play hard. But this is an exhibition game for these guys. They're only going to do so much. They've got their livelihoods at stake here. You know, I've played in these type of games when I played European professional basketball, and you know, you're not going to get, especially later in the game, you know, you're not going to always get everything they've got.
As Tasman Mitchell's layup makes it a 3-point game, and on the drive, Alex Poythress, who's been quiet up until this point, works his way to the free throw line.
Poythress played great yesterday. He needs to continue that.
Kevin Connors, Jay Billis, our entire crew back with you from Nassau, Bahamas. Kentucky has roared back to take a 3-point lead on Charlons-Reims, a professional team from the A division in France. And a reminder that the Kentucky exhibition tour continues. Tomorrow you'll see Kentucky play Puerto Rico, the same squad they beat yesterday here on ESPNU. You can catch it at 1 p.m. Eastern, followed by the debut on the SEC Network Friday, Kentucky versus the Dominican Republic. And then the same French team Saturday. All those games, with the exception of tomorrow, on the SEC Network.
What a difference in the last several minutes for this Kentucky team as you take a look at some of the other teams that are playing here in the Bahamas. It's a nice trip to take. Kentucky playing the most games, but I don't think this is drudgery for too many of these teams.
I agree. See Jamie Dixon's Pitt squad here as well. North Carolina playing a pair of games.
Saw Morehead State come into this building yesterday after Kentucky played Puerto Rico, and they played a team from here in the Bahamas.
Who will not be challenging the Globetrotters anytime soon, right? I mean, that was not, at least the eyeball test, that was not the best team we've ever seen.
No, you know, Kentucky brought these teams in to be able to play against them. A lot of teams that come here to play are primarily doing it to get the practices in.
Mitchell draws the foul, at least that's what the officials had to say. I think Alex Poythress has a different opinion.
Poythress, who sort of mirrors Tasman Mitchell in his ability. He's got to get around in front to make that pass more difficult. But he certainly went up and challenged that up top. I'm not sure that was a foul, maybe a little bit with the body. He brings a lot of energy into this game, and that's the way he needs to play. And if he knocks down a perimeter jumper when he's open, that's fine. But the other things he does can really elevate the level of play. And he can bring some things that no other player on this roster can bring.
As Butler goes 0 of 2 from the line, so Charlons-Reims has gone ice cold here towards the end of this first half.
Charlons-Reims really turned the ball over. And there's Poythress with his offensive rebounding ability, something he did really well in the NCAA tournament last year.
Andrew Harrison on the drive, fouled as he laid it off to Dakari Johnson.
Every time that Andrew Harrison drives, he's got the opportunity to pick up fouls. He's so big and strong as a point guard. When he gets a little ball screen, gets some space, gets into the lane, he draws defense. He can get into you and pick up the foul himself, or he can dish it off if there's help.
Jay, whether it's the quality of opponent or the fact that they've played now just a few more minutes together as Harrison knocks down the first free throw, I've noticed a difference in Kentucky, the level of play from yesterday to today.
Yeah, especially in the last 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, the first 10 minutes, I didn't think Kentucky played very well at all. They were very sloppy on both ends of the floor and settled on the offensive end especially. They've turned the ball over. They've got 7 or 8 turnovers, as does Charlons-Reims. But you know, they've really picked it up defensively. And even they've been active in this zone. You can see them stretching it out a little bit, trying to extend. With their length, they can really cover some ground.
Down to 12 on the shot clock. Watkins, good-looking feed. Antich, the teardrop, and Luka Antich, the coach's son, with his first 2 points.
He really had to lob that up high to get it over Poythress. Talk about a team that can challenge at the rim. Much more patient by Dakari Johnson that time.
Harrison thought about dropping it off. Good ball movement to Poythress. Another offensive board. Poythress on the cut this time. Fouled on his way up. He'll shoot a pair.
Boy, there is nothing selfish about this Kentucky team. They really share the ball. They move the ball. A terrific cut and pass. And Antich really had to get that ball up high to get it over Alex Poythress.
And it sends the junior out of Clarksville, Tennessee, to the free throw line. Played in 40 games last season as the 6th man on Kentucky. And Jay, I know it's tough to tell with the amount of talent and the number of bodies, but what kind of a role do you think Poythress will have on this team this year?
Well, whether he plays the 3 or the 4, he's an energy guy. He can guard multiple positions. He's an outstanding offensive rebounder. But you put him in a rotation with some bigger guys, he can switch on just about anybody. He can go inside and out as a defender, and he can attack the basket. And I think his offensive rebounding ability really sets him apart. So he's going to play a lot of minutes on this team, but he can be a really big-time contributor. See there, he switched out onto a point guard.
3 on the way by Remy Lesko. Good-looking jump shot, and he drills a much-needed 3 for Charlons-Reims.
Now, when Kentucky is playing man, they're getting picked off on screens, and they're not switching all of them and not getting up on all of them, especially when their 5-man comes up to set a screen. Dakari Johnson's been a little bit slow to get there. Great pass.
Good-looking feed, and Poythress, the ability to control his body in midair and lay it in.
Really good cut by Poythress. Let's see how Kentucky handles this man-to-man defense instead of the zone. They were very effective in the zone.
Antich, a really deep 3. That one was not even close. Shot clock did not reset, so it's down to 10. Easy layup, and Antich misses it. 4-on-1. Booker will try a 3.
Booker's a great shooter, but at that point, probably not the time for that shot.
And he's caught reaching it on the pass that time. Another look at the activity, Jay, and the terrific cut of Alex Poythress.
Just as the penetration was coming, Poythress cuts from the corner as he saw Antich turn his head. He cut right to the basket. Just a great cut by Alex Poythress and a great read of the situation.
Mark Payne knocks down the first free throw. He began his pro career in Spain. After 2 years, switched to the Greek League. He spent the past 2 seasons there. Signed with Charlons-Reims.
As well as Kentucky has played, especially over the last 10 minutes, you feel like this lead should be more than 3. Charlons-Reims has not played as well over the last 10, and they've really hung in there.
As Poythress turns it over, and now Charlons-Reims the opportunity to hold for 1 and potentially make this a tie game heading into the locker room.
Kentucky sticking with man-to-man. They have to expect for handoffs and screens.
Pressure on the ball. Antich tied up by Poythress, and it'll be a jump ball situation. Possession arrow in favor of Kentucky.
I think the French players are asking, how can you reach around both sides of the player without fouling?
And they may have a point. As Antich was tied up there by Poythress. Well, if you're just joining us and you're wondering who this Champagne Charlons-Reims team is, well, they play in the top division in France. And a look at the players who played major Division I college basketball in the U.S. Players you might recognize: Deshaun Butler, Lionel Chalmers, Tasman Mitchell, one of the great players in LSU history, Darrell Watkins, one of the great shot blockers in Syracuse history.
Tasman Mitchell, third all-time in scoring at LSU behind the great Pete Maravich and Rudy Macklin. Had just under 2,000 points in his career, playing for both John Brady and Trent Johnson, and had over 1,000 rebounds. You don't find many players in college basketball history that had 2,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. And Tasman Mitchell is right there among them.
And I know, Jay, you're fond of the Charlons-Reims logo, right?
Yeah, that wizard kind of scares me.
This is a team that was in the B division. The franchise was in the B division in France last year. They won that. They were elevated to the A League, where they'll compete this season. Kentucky a 3-point lead, 15 seconds to go.
Let's see if Andrew Harrison can get something going toward the basket. Looks like it's going to be a run-out ball screen, and he got the switch.
Mismatch on Watkins. Pull-up jumper goes down by Andrew Harrison, and this first half will come to an end.
A really good execution at the end of the half by Kentucky with that ball screen to get the switch, and Harrison handled it perfectly.
A strong finish to this first half for the Kentucky Wildcats. They'll take a 5-point lead into the half over Champagne Charlons-Reims. 37-32 your halftime score. Let's send it to the studio with our halftime report coming up after these messages.
Welcome in, Matt Schick, Tom Luganville. Pleased to join you here, part of the Big Blue Bahamas Tour. Sand swimsuits. Let's talk a little SEC football, shall we? LSU hauled in the #1 rated high school prospect in Leonard Fournette this past offseason. A lot is expected of him out of St. Augustine in Louisiana. What should we expect out of this guy?
A significant impact, certainly a significant contribution, and not just because he's capable physically. I think he's capable mentally. He's mature. He understands and has dealt with expectation level, knows the choices that need to be made in order to avoid some of the pitfalls that you see from some of the younger players in college football.
Fourth consecutive year, though, it's Nick Saban and his staff reeling in the top recruiting class in the SEC, besting their SEC West rival LSU, second in the SEC, also in the country. So when you look at the SEC and where this league is headed recruiting-wise, this league isn't going anywhere. No. What do you see on the horizon here for this league recruiting-wise?
Well, their talent base is so deep top to bottom. And then you take a team like a Kentucky, like a Tennessee that's going to reach maybe into the mid-Atlantic area, or they're going to go up into Ohio and supplement some of the recruiting efforts that they have within the southeast region of this country. But there's so many players around, particularly at the premium positions. You look at where all the tall physical corners are coming from. A Patrick Peterson, a Dre Kirkpatrick, a D. Milliner, all southeast region kids. Look at where the defensive front personnel, which has separated the good from the great in college football. That's where the SEC has made its hay. And so if you're going to be involved in a college football conference, this region, the southeast portion of the United States, is the place you want to be, and it's what's made the SEC so talent rich.
You mentioned the Kentucky Wildcats. Yeah. Now let's talk about them on the football side of things. 2-10 record record a year ago, 0-8 in league play. That's the same record they had the season before Mark Stoops got to town. But we do see signs of improvement here in the program. What do you see in the short term?
I think this is going to be one of the more improved teams in the SEC, although it might not be as reflected in the win-loss record as Kentucky fans would like to see. They will be a better coached team. I think they will be more understanding of what's being asked of them, what the expectation is. Now that you've had a full calendar year under your staff, under Mark Stoops, his tutelage, the blueprint has been laid down. And in recruiting, you don't have a lot of players to choose from in the state of Kentucky. So when you get a Jason Hatcher along the defensive front, you get a Drew Barker at quarterback, and then with those Ohio roots that I mentioned from Mark Stoops and his family, you dip up into Ohio a little bit, the Cincinnati area, and even further north, bring down some kids into Lexington. You can supplement some of your recruiting efforts. I do think this team will break their losing streak in conference play. I do believe, though, they will have to get an upset, most notably versus maybe a Vandy or a Tennessee, Matt, to be bowl eligible, but I think this team will be improved.
They're trying to break that long SEC losing streak. They open SEC play at Florida on September 13th. Kentucky, part of that dominating Southeastern Conference when it comes to recruiting. 10 of the 14 schools signed a top 20 class, and the entire league signed nearly the same number of ESPN 300 recruits as the ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten combined. Join us, Recruiting Nation. All things recruiting begins September 4th.
Vacation in the Bahamas, a chance for us to see Kentucky, a 5-point lead, 37-32 on Charlons-Reims, a professional French team from the A division in France. Back in Nassau, Bahamas, Kevin Connors, Jay Billis with you. This has been a terrific opportunity, Jay, for us to see this year's Kentucky basketball team. There's no more Julius Randle, James Young, both moved on to the NBA. But it's also a good chance 4 months later to take a look back at one of the great runs in NCAA tournament history by this Kentucky team. What comes to mind when you think about that run?
Well, just toward the end of the season, they had lost 10 games during the regular season, had some really good games, but had some low moments as well. How they came together as a team and had an extraordinarily difficult draw in the NCAA tournament. For them to have to play #1 seed Wichita State in basically the second game, I thought was extraordinarily difficult. And it wasn't. They got a bad seed. They were an 8 seed. They were way better than that, but had maybe the most difficult draw of any team to get to the Final Four, and they were able to do it. Really an impressive performance by a very young team.
We have a chance to take a look back at that run right now. The 8-9 matchup. Kentucky opening with Kansas State. Julius Randle, the terrific freshman left-hander, getting the Cats off to a good run. 19-15 in the win over Kansas State, 56-49. And then next up, the Twins, the Harrison Twins, combining for 39 to beat Wichita State.
Maybe the best game in the NCAA tournament. Wichita State shouldn't have had to play an 8 seed right there in Kentucky.
They get Louisville in the next round. Cats down 7 with 4 minutes to go, but Aaron Harrison, his heroics helping move on to the round of 8, where they were able to advance to the Final Four with the win over Michigan. They knock off Wisconsin one more time, but the run came up just short. Shabazz Napier and UConn, the dramatic 60-54 victory in the national championship game. Improbable run for UConn as it was for Kentucky, and Jay, outside of the obvious, the chance for this team to have the opportunity to play in a national championship game, that great run. What can the players who are part of that team, who are back this year, bring into this season?
I think leadership is #1. To have players back that have played a significant role and understand what college basketball is all about, for them to talk and to lead the younger players, that's something that really the freshmen last year didn't have as much of. And earlier in the game, you said something you never hear in a Kentucky game much anymore. You said junior, junior Alex Poythress, junior Willie Cauley-Stein. That's a luxury that they have not had of late. And when they've had older players that have come back, like in 2012, combined with an outstanding recruiting class, which they always have under John Calipari, you've got a recipe for even greater success, and they've had extraordinary success under Cal. Honestly, Kevin, I didn't think what John Calipari has done at Kentucky was possible. I didn't think it was possible to take so many young players year after year and have the sustained excellence that they've had. I think it's been one of the truly unique times in college basketball history.
Well, they are loaded again this year. No Julius Randle, no James Young, but they have retooled and reloaded and having some fun in the sun here in Nassau, Bahamas. Of course, it's fun when you lead, as they do, a 5-point halftime lead on Champaign Chalons-Reims, and we're coming back after this. Back inside Kendall Isaacs Gymnasium in Nassau, Bahamas. The Kentucky Wildcats a 5-point halftime lead on Charlons-Reims. Kevin Connors, Jay Billis back here with you. A tale of two halves, as cliche as that may be, Jay. We saw Kentucky start out playing a sloppy brand of basketball on both ends of the floor, but those last 10-12 minutes, they really turned it up.
Especially the last 7 or 8 minutes of the first half. Kentucky went to a zone that forced Charlons-Reims to stand around a little bit. Their length took over. They started getting some points in transition, offense off their defense, and the steal by Aaron Harrison and the finish, and then Tyler Ulis coming off the pick and roll. What a pass and a great catch by Karl Towns Jr. And you can see that Tyler Ulis plays with great pace. He doesn't go 1,000 miles an hour. He changes speeds. And when he does that, and when Andrew Harrison at the last play of the game comes off a ball screen, gets a switch, and handles it with that kind of pace, you know, this Kentucky team can beat absolutely anybody in college basketball, and I think they're going to get better and better as the year goes along.
Kentucky out rebounding Charlons-Reims in that first half, shooting it at 50% in the first half, as they did for the game yesterday against Puerto Rico. All right, so it's always all about adjustments, Jay Billis. Here, what adjustments does Kentucky want to make at the half?
Well, I think they want to continue to put the pressure on, whether they're in man or zone, but they're going to start the second half off with the second unit, the unit that did not start the ball game. It's a little bit smaller with Tyler Ulis, but he can put great pressure on the ball, and they're starting off in man-to-man. I think the challenge is going to be on the offensive end for Kentucky to continue to attack.
Watkins is fouled by Karl Towns. He'll shoot a pair here.
Against this team, what Kentucky wants to do is speed the game up. With this strong team of professional men, they don't want it to be a half-court game. They want this game to go up and down where they have the advantage.
As Watkins misfires on the first. And we saw that yesterday. We saw that Kentucky was able to wear down Puerto Rico. They just didn't have the bodies or the stamina to keep up with a number of bodies and the talent that Kentucky had. We'll see if that's the case again here today.
Well, plus, after the game got away from Puerto Rico yesterday, they gave up.
Right.
They just kind of quit. And that's why the margin was so great. A little bit of a different lineup for Charlons-Reims. Lionel Chalmers starting at the point guard position.
Tasman Mitchell pressuring the ball. 15 on the shot clock for the Cats.
Still plenty of time. Anytime they've gotten into a late clock, they've gone with that high ball screen.
Ulis high off the glass. No, but the second effort by the freshman Karl Towns.
Boy, Kevin, how about Karl Towns? Just throwing Deshaun Butler, who's a big, strong forward, completely out of the way underneath. The discard going up strong, getting the contact from Tasman Mitchell, and still completing the play.
Jay, it's amazing to me. You think of Anthony Davis, and as good as he was at the college level, he was a work in progress, right? Body-wise, he was nowhere near ready for the NBA as much as he was talent-wise. You look at a player like Karl Towns, he's as big as Darryl Watkins.
No, he's got a different body. Anthony Davis was a better player. I mean, Anthony Davis is one of the truly great players in basketball on any level, and I think he's got the ability to be a top 5 player in the NBA. But a different body style and a different type of player. But I'm not sure he could have been more effective. He was the best player in the country,
sure.
I thought.
I just meant in terms of his physical size as Watkins goes off the glass. I mean, it's so impressive to see an 18-year-old like Karl Towns, the size that he is.
Boy, isn't it amazing? You know, the older you get, these younger players. You didn't see bodies like this 25 years ago coming out of high school. You saw these lanky, thin guys that needed to gain weight and get in the weight room and all that. The bodies on some of these 18-year-old big guys are incredible, absolutely incredible.
Mitchell tries a 3, and Willis grabs the rebound.
This is where Kentucky can stretch it out. If they're efficient on offense, they can move this game out right here.
Here's Marcus Lee working on the block. Wild attempt.
Smart play by Ulis to bring it out. Now here comes that horn set that they've been running so well when they've gotten into it.
Ulis feeding Towns, working on Watkins. Terrific move, but he can't finish. Second try, he does.
He's got a right hand around the basket, a left hand that's very effective, and he doesn't stop playing.
Dynamite pass by Butler to Mitchell, and it's back down to 7.
Going back into this Horn set. So many different actions out of it. It's hard to really get a read on exactly what they're doing.
Hawkins way too strong on the three-pointer.
You still think is really good pass after the little screen for the screener action. There was a flex cut and then a down screen, and after he set the down screen, Towns did a really good job of posting up, and when he missed that initial shot, which he will not miss many of those as he gets older, that second effort is really impressive. That's something you don't teach. He's just got that in him.
Ulis draws the double team. Towns thought about it.
It seems like they've had the ball for a long time and still plenty of time.
Good pass. Towns fouled on his way up, but the extra pass by Marcus Lee-J was impressive.
The extra pass with Kentucky is a normal occurrence. This is a very unselfish team. You think that the stereotype of 9 McDonald's All-Americans or guys that have been labeled one and done would be a me first culture. But this team seems to have a we first attitude with sharing the basketball, and that's really impressive.
How do you get guys to buy into that?
It's difficult. I think it can be difficult for any team, but I think it's just the way these young men have played. You know, it's not all the fact that the older players have been conditioned to do that here at Kentucky. I think these younger players that are coming in for their first time have taken that from the older guys, but also they don't look like they were selfish players in high school.
As Towns knocks down both free throws, he'll check out to Corey Johnson, Alex Poythress, Andrew and Aaron Harrison, and Devin Booker check back in. 9-point Kentucky lead. Team being coached today by Kenny Payne. The assistant, as John Calipari has decided he'd like to watch his team from a distance. As we mentioned in the first half, says it's a long season, and especially starting here in August, his team might get tired of hearing the same voice over and over again, so he's allowing his assistant coach Kenny Payne to coach this game.
Kentucky sticking with man-to-man, and with this unit, they can switch 1 through 4.
Nice looking move by Da'Sean Butler. Devin Booker drills a 3.
And that is a great shot for Devin Booker to run the floor where Kentucky can pass ahead and get an opportunistic 3 in transition. You could run really good offense for 30 seconds and not get a shot that open or that good.
Now Booker drilling a 3 to open up a 10-point game. When we come back, we're going to be joined by one of the Cats, Willie Cauley-Stein, about to make his way over to the ESPNU broadcast table. Coming up after this. Well, the fun in the sun continues here in Nassau, Bahamas. The Big Blue Bahamas Tour. Kentucky a 10-point lead on Charlons-Reims. 15 minutes, 37 seconds to go in the second half. And we are thrilled to be joined by one of the veterans of the Kentucky basketball team. He's not in uniform. He's dealing with an injury now, but it's great to have Willie Cauley-Stein with us here at the broadcast table. First and foremost, how are you feeling? How is the injury coming along?
I feel great. You know, I've been doing individual workouts and a lot of weights. But my ankle feels good, and I'm just excited to start playing again.
You had the opportunity to turn pro last season, this past summer, I should say, decided to come back. A lot of people thought you would be one of the top 20 players chosen in the NBA draft. What was that process like for you?
You know, it was kind of back and forth. You know, I got, really good information about it, and then, my ankle injury, I was feeling really uneasy about it and wasn't real comfortable about, leaving school on a hunch. You know what I'm saying? I want to be, sure when it's time, it's time.
Willie, in watching your team play, clearly the talent, the size, the depth really impressive. A couple other things that have really impressed me are the way the manner in which this team can defend. You can bring pressure all over the court for 40 minutes, and then the way your guys share the ball, the unselfishness. Where does that come from?
Practice. Whole time since we've started the whole summer, our summer workouts have been around just giving one more. We have so many drills about just giving the extra pass, and I mean it's showing right now. This tour that we're having that guys has bought into it, and they're not playing as individuals. We're trying to come together now in the summertime, so it's not as hard when the school season starts.
How much as players do you talk about having to compete every day in practice and go after each other, but at the same time, you've got to unite and come together. Whatever the decision is on playing time, you've got to come together as one.
Exactly. Coach Cal, that's one of his things is, every day, everybody on our team is, talented. So it doesn't really necessarily matter about how much playing time one gets because we got so many different people we can put wherever. And then the coming together part, it just comes with time. Spending time with each other off the court and on the court, and guys go at it. In practice, guys are going at it, and it's just that competition level, and that's one thing that he really speaks highly about is going after each other every day in practice. But then once you step off the court, then you're like brothers, and you got that brother mentality, and then that's how they playing together right now, and that's how it works out.
What do you think the difference is in having so many, I guess you call them upperclassmen, so many guys that at least have 1 year under their belt in the Kentucky program back? I mean, this year you've got more non-freshmen that are going to play than freshmen. And what's the dynamic change with this team?
My past 2 years has been freshman dominated, so you can just, the feel is different. Guys know what they're doing, and then a lot of it, my past 2 years is guys, you really don't know what you're doing. And we was considered, me and Alex was considered, older guys last year, and really we're still the young guys, and people are asking us, what should we do here? What should we do? I'm like, dude, I really don't know. I'm just kind of going on with it with you. I'm learning the same things you're learning. And then this year, having the twins back and Alex and the Karl, and we're kind of all just, how to, the experience that you got, how to deal with everything, and what you can get away with on the court with Cal, and what you can do and what you can do, and that's just, comes with that territory.
How do you like seeing your team play zone? A little different, isn't it?
Very different, but they look good in it. I think they might play a little harder in the zone than they do man.
It kind of changed the game when you guys went to that 2-3 zone. It changed the pace of the game.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
You can put so much pressure on it, man, but you're so lengthy.
We're so lengthy that we don't have to be up in them. We got 6'5" point guards playing the top of the key, so it helps us that they're so long, and they ain't gotta go as fast. But when the second group comes in, you can tell the difference between that zone group, because you got Dom and Tyler so fast and so quick and little that it just picks it up. It makes up for it because they're so fast, and the length really doesn't have to go with them with that.
Look at Tyler Eulis on the bench as Andrew Harrison drew the foul on the last play. We're so used to seeing you out on the floor, Willie. What's it like having to watch this, especially on this trip?
It might be worse now because I could play. I know that I could play. During the Final Four, there was 1% that oh man, I could play, but no, really I can't play with a broken foot. But now it's I've been working out and I could run and I could jump, so it's man, I really wish I could be out there with my teammates. But it's fun, trying to watching everything and get to know my team better by watching them. Playing with them is one thing, but the past 17 weeks is I get to just watch and see how everything is.
We're watching you warm up here. This was before the game, and Big Blue Nation can know that you're very close to getting back into game action. Willie, what's one area this offseason you've wanted to work on to develop your game?
A lot of offense. Shooting a 15-footer off of a reverse and being able to just drive on people. I've been working on ball handling and kind of a mid-range game here lately. So, hopefully when time comes where I can start playing again, I get real comfortable playing that way. I mean, that's how I see myself playing, from here on out. And, you know, I've been working on it for 17 weeks. So.
Well, your coach John Calipari is not a shy guy. When he gets on you, what's the thing he says most often to you?
Probably just playing with confidence. Playing with confidence and energy. You know, the way I play with a lot of energy, and when I'm not playing that way, that's when, you know, that's when the coaches get on me. If I'm not playing with that high energy level that I've shown that I can play with, and you know, when you get tired and stuff, then they're on you like, you got to play with your energy, you got to play with your energy, and then you know, you got to turn it up real quick so you don't come out or you know, you be out.
How about when the game gets physical?
I try to play it different. I'm not going to get in a mud wrestling match with nobody. You know what I'm saying? I'm faster than most of the guys that I play against. So I just kind of use my speed and quickness, try to get around them and not let them touch the ball. Like when, you know, games get physical, like, you know, this tournament or this little tour thing, that's how the guys are. It's, you know, been real physical, pushing and stuff. But, you know, the way I would play is just get around them and not let the dude touch the ball. Like, you know, going to try to post me up, you know, push me and stuff, while I'm just going to get around you and not let you catch it. That's the kind of way I play with that.
Willie, how about the experience being down here in the Bahamas? Let's forget about basketball for a minute. What's the experience of being here been like?
Fun. You know, it's a chance to get away from, you know, school and just to be with your teammates and the coaches in a remote area where it's just beautiful, and you know, just to get together with the guys is fun, all at one place, and you know, joking around with everybody, and it's just, you know, it's a good time, and you know, I'm glad we got to take this trip.
Now you've got a different voice in the huddle today, as you see your teammate Karl Towns, who's been terrific in this game, earned a trip to the free throw line. What's it been like hearing your assistant coach Kenny Payne in the huddle as opposed to John Calipari?
It's not much different. You know, they're still speaking on the same things. You know, KP, when Coach Cal's in there, you know, he'll still tell you stuff. So it's kind of like he's saying the same stuff he would say to you if Cal was in there, except he's, you know, the voice that you're hearing all the time. But it's just, it's real similar, but a different kind of feel. You can, I don't know, honestly, you can kind of relax more. You know, Cal's kind of a intimidating dude, so to hear from, you know, assistant coaches is way more like, oh, all right, I could just, you know, relax and go through it. And that's the biggest part.
It's the good cop, bad cop thing, right?
Kind of.
Karl Towns, your teammate, is trending on Twitter right now. He's had a terrific game. The lead is up to 17 points. Willie Cauley-Stein, thanks so much for joining us, and good health the rest of the season.
We got to get Willie Cauley-Stein trending on Twitter. He was great.
Let's
Thanks,
do
Willie.
it, America. Look inside the Atlantis at a 17-point halftime lead for the Kentucky Wildcats. Kevin Connors, Jay Billis, and our terrific crew with you here in Nassau, Bahamas. 17-point Kentucky lead, 57-40. 11 minutes, 54 seconds to go here in the second half. And there's a reminder, the Kentucky Big Blue Basketball Bahamas Tour continues. Game 3 of the tour tomorrow. Kentucky taking on Puerto Rico, the same squad that they beat yesterday. You'll see that game here on ESPNU 1 Eastern, followed by the debut on the SEC Network 1 Eastern. Kentucky taking on the Dominican Republic. The same Charlons-Reims team again on Saturday, and then Sunday the Dominican Republic once more. All games tipped 1 Eastern on ESPNU and the SEC Network.
Kevin, what we've seen in this second half from Kentucky, this team can be very good offensively, and they're going to be very good offensively. They can be special on the defensive end. And they're holding a good team to 40 points thus far in the ballgame after almost 20 minutes of play. Or 30 minutes of play, excuse me. Now, that's pretty impressive to do that.
And by the way, without arguably their best defensive player, who just spent the past 4 minutes with us.
Right, you've got two guys that are 6'10" or better in Trey Lyles and Willie Cauley-Stein, not available to play. And it shows the size, the depth, the athleticism, the talent of this Kentucky team. That this team is formidable without those guys. You put them back into the fray, and they will be. Look out.
As Charlons-Reims has gone to a, looks like a 1-3-1 zone here. They leave Tyler Ulis wide open, and Ulis drills it again. Jay, if he has the ability to shoot the ball like that in season, he is going to be one dynamite player.
Well, he does have that ability. Great passing. Get the ball into the middle against the zone and then kick it down on the baseline.
But Tyler Ulis does have that ability. Doesn't force shots, only shoots open shots. Now the 2-3 zone for the Charlons-Reims team.
Hawkins off the mark, and they'll get Towns climbing the back of Tasman Mitchell.
This team moves the ball. A little pass fake one way, and Watkins tries to get back down low because he felt odd being out on the perimeter, and Kentucky made him pay.
Good passing that time by Charlons-Reims, and Watkins can't finish it.
And Kentucky's been good in the zone. They've got a lot of work to do to be able to play that more often. But boy, it's awfully nice to have that in your arsenal to complement what I think can be an outstanding man-to-man defensive team. What a pass.
Nice feed, and Hawkins throws it down.
Well, Towns has not only scored, he's got 14 points and 7 rebounds. He's shown that he's got a complete game. He can pass it as well.
Open three by Guietti, misfires, and it'll be Kentucky ball. Jay, it's been amazing to watch. The ball does not stick with anybody. Terrific passing.
It's not a team that is looking to go off individually to take you 1-on-5. They are really endeavoring to play 5-on-1 or 5-as-1 out on the floor. And that's really impressive to watch. I mean, obviously the San Antonio Spurs did it in the NBA. I don't think very many people can tell you, what did those guys average? But you know they're champions, and it gave you a great feeling about the game to watch them play. And I think Kentucky's doing a little bit of that on this trip. It's been fun to watch a team share the ball.
Marcus Lee had his pocket pick. Mark Payne the layup, and Kenny Payne wanted to take a timeout to talk to his team, who owns an 18-point lead. We talked about Karl Towns trending on Twitter already. The fabulous freshman, Jay, he has been outstanding in this game.
Well, he's got a complete game. He's very skilled. He can pass the ball. Obviously has great size and length. But he's also got some range. He can step away and knock a shot down. His body control is good. You can see him there with a fake handoff off the inbounds play and taking it to the basket. I think one of the things, as he becomes a better finisher, because he's had the ball close to the basket right there, those are plays that he'll finish without having to go to that second effort. But he's had some opportunities inside, both against Puerto Rico and in this game against Charlons-Reims, where he's had the chance to finish a right-handed or left-handed jump hook and hadn't quite finished it. But he's just going to get better and better. The sky's the limit for his ability level.
I mean, it's so early. We've only seen yesterday's game and then 30 minutes of today's game. But for teams who will be playing against Kentucky this season, Jay, I mean, what's it going to be like getting a scouting report together to game plan to play this team?
Oh, I think getting the scouting report and game planning will be really easy. It's executing it that's going to be really hard. The game plan's the easy part. We're going to do this, this, and this. But then when you get out there and you find out, look how deep these guys are. They keep coming at you. The pressure. It's kind of like Mike Tyson said once, everybody's got a plan until they get hit. When this team hits you, you're going to stay hit.
And there is, oh boy.
Now he's going to want to check from ESPN.
He's manning the cameras here. You know that the game has gotten out of hand.
That's the highest paid cameraman in the history of television.
Is he zooming in on us right now? That's what I want to know.
Probably on my bald spot.
Can we take that shot here? Coach Calipari with his team enjoying an 18-point lead, taking to manning the cameras here inside Kendall Isaac's gymnasium. Now that's not Cal's shot, right?
No way.
Does he know that he'll be sticking around for the post-show crew meeting, by the way?
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to like the per diem.
Here's Hawkins feeding Lee down low, fouled on his way up by Darryl Watkins, and again dynamite ball movement by the Cats.
See, that's when you know you've got 9 McDonald's All-Americans on your roster, when you can, try other jobs. You can moonlight a little bit. Other guys are watching tape, out recruiting. Geez, we got to get more players. He's like, nah, I got it all. So now that's Cal's shot right there.
That's right, yeah. He's zooming in. Do not adjust your TV sets.
Yeah, he may be having a stroke. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there. No cameraman in the history of television has gotten this much airtime.
I totally agree.
Our guys do such a great job. They get run over underneath the basket, knocked on their backs, and they don't get this much airtime.
Right. You notice that he's not manning the baseline cameras, right? The low angle camera. He's way up there. Here's Ulis.
John Calipari can do it all. How much fun is it to watch a team share the ball? Like Towns could have shot that ball. And instead they work deeper into the clock, and they're only going to take a good shot.
By the way, this may be the hardest that Cal works all season after seeing the talent on this team as Lee is able to throw it in. Another dynamite feed by Towns.
But what did they make? 7 passes in that possession and wound up with a dunk. And I think this really bodes well for the future of this team. It's an unselfish, hardworking team that is not yet at full strength. And this is August.
Now, is he zooming in on the officials yet? That's what I want to know. I mean, is he putting them under the white hot spotlight after that call as Tasman Mitchell heads to the free throw line? And this is Coach Cal Cam. Let's get that trending on Twitter. He's got his eye on Kenny Payne, who, by the way, I'm sure will say, listen, 21-point win over a professional team, not bad.
The problem is when you're on Cal Cam, you need Dramamine. I've got motion sickness.
Well, it's a work in progress. Much like this Kentucky team, although I'll take my chances with Kentucky over Coach Cal's camera work here. We look forward to chatting with Coach Calipari here as the week goes on. He says he plans on only coaching 2 games. He coached 1 yesterday to win over Puerto Rico. And he's done for the day.
So far in these 2 games, Kentucky has gone with a straight platoon system, playing 5 at a time. It'll be interesting to see in the games coming forward. They didn't get that shot off before the shot clock. Really interesting in the next 4 games if they switch up these rotations to let guys play with different people, because the combinations are endless and impressive.
21-point lead for the Cats midway through the second half from Nassau. Well, fun in the sun from Paradise, Nassau, Bahamas. And Kentucky continuing its Big Blue Bahamas tour with a 21-point lead over Charlons-Reims. 7 minutes and change to go here in the second half. And this reminder that Team USA plays in the FIBA Under-17 World Championship round of 16 from Dubai, United Arab Emirates. They'll take on Japan tomorrow. Get up early, set the alarm, 6:15 a.m. Eastern on ESPNU. Also available live on Watch ESPN.
By the way, that shot of the beach was taken by John Calipari, who ran outside during the break and got that ENG.
He's really taken to this new job.
You see some of the players playing for Don Showalter. I've seen some pictures of Coach Showalter over in Dubai, hiking in the desert. And his under-17 team is really impressive. And Don Showalter, a head basketball coach on the high school level in Iowa, has done such a tremendous job for USA basketball over the years, and shows the depth of talent in that program, not just on the player side, which the United States has got, but on the coaching side as well. It's not just Coach K and Jerry Colangelo. It goes all up and down that program that's led by Executive Director Jim Tooley, who does a great job.
By the way, Jay, word has filtered down to me that that Cal thinks that we could upgrade at the at the analyst position for the rest of these games, so he's thinking about coming on and joining us in that capacity.
Well, they didn't need to. He didn't need to go there. He knows that's true. Everybody knows that's true.
Hardly.
Cal could do this better than anybody, but he's not going to take the pay cut.
That's right. Yeah, 3 on the way by Remy Leska is off the mark. If you're just tuning in, this was a very competitive game in the first half as Andrew Harrison drives and he'll work his way to the free throw line. But Kentucky, with about 8 minutes to go towards the end of that first half, really put its foot on the gas, and they have taken a stranglehold of this game now, a 21-point lead.
Yeah, 5-point game at halftime. And because Andrew Harrison did such a great job in the last possession off a ball screen to get a pull-up jump shot to put Kentucky up 5. But with their terrific play in this second half, Charlons-Reims not really paying attention to the fact that that wasn't a 2-shot opportunity, and Alex Poythress got a putback. Yeah, Alex Poythress has had another really good game. When he plays with this kind of energy and fire, he is a dynamite ball player.
Harrison lobs it up to Corey Johnson running the floor. And the route is now on. Booker to steal. Harrison off the drive. And it'll stay Cats ball.
Really the task right now for Kentucky is to continue to play hard, but you got to be a little bit careful, especially in transition situations. I mean, Charlons-Reims, this is a bunch of really experienced players, but they're professionals, and this game's gotten away from them. They know they're not going to win, and they've given up a little bit. And if you go to the basket and go off of 1 foot, you're liable to be planted on your back. You got to be careful, or at least mindful.
Harrison behind the screen, lobs it up, and Alex Poythress finishes it off.
When Kentucky sets a ball screen on an open side and they drive the middle, they are always looking to lob it up. So if you're guarding the screener and you help off on the ball, that's going to be a lob dunk. And that is really hard to guard, because otherwise you're giving up that drive to Aaron Harrison. If you help off, boom. Impressive.
$14 points, 8 rebounds for Alex Poythress in this game.
Couldn't be more impressed with the way he's gone about his business. He is playing like a veteran and playing to his strength instead of trying to prove that he's improved a weakness. He is playing to his strengths.
I think we came into this tournament knowing what the Harrisons would be, right? But not necessarily sure about Tyler Ulis. But Ulis, Poythress, and Towns, to me, Jay, have been the 3 guys who have really jumped off the page.
Sure, they've been very impressive. And I know you feel the same way, that the Harrisons have been impressive. They're actually significantly better this year than last, don't you think?
No doubt about it.
I think they've really improved. And Andrew, as he drives, is playing with such good pace. And Aaron, both of them are in better condition, you can see. And they're trying to, I think, positively answer some questions that people, observers, basketball people had about them last year. Were they going to become better leaders? Was their body language and their talk going to improve? Were they going to be better defenders? You know, how about their athleticism? I think that was questioned, and they've come back in much better condition and much quicker.
Booker will drive, running jumper, not that time, but he's able to get his hand in there, strip it away. Kept alive by Harrison, and now Charlons-Reims will run. Layup in transition and good body control by Michel Mirandis.
Well, how about the hands by Deshaun Butler to catch that save by Andrew Harrison? 2-3 zone right now. Kentucky can take its time.
It's it's been impressive the discipline that they've played with as well, right? I mean, these two games in the second half, as Johnson is fouled on the way up, I mean, they've gotten out of hand, and yet Kentucky has still seemed to play with some discipline.
They've played with a lot of it, and again, they've moved the ball. When Alex Poythress got the ball in the middle of that zone, he could have easily shot the ball. Instead, he gives it up to Dakari Johnson along the baseline for an easy opportunity where Kentucky can get fouled and go to the free throw line. I mean, that was a terrific pass. And there's been, in the last two games that Kentucky's played, I can't think of a time where you've said, well, that was a selfish play. Not one. That's really impressive, especially for August.
Right, for this being the second game that this edition of this team is playing in.
I think it'll be another good night at Catlantis. Dinner's going to taste pretty good after another blowout win.
As the second unit, if you will, checks back into the game, Ulis and Hawkins, Lee, Towns, and Derek Willis, who contests a three, but not enough. Lionel Chalmers drills it.
Now, didn't John Calipari say before this trip that Kentucky would be lucky to win 2 games? I think you can consider them lucky now. They are officially lucky, because it doesn't appear that either one of the first 2 teams they've played, Charlons-Reims or the team from Puerto Rico, can beat Kentucky. And again, I mean, we've said it, but this Kentucky team is not at full strength. Willie Cauley-Stein is not playing. The number 6 recruit in the country per the ESPN 100, put out by Paul Biancardi and Reggie Rankin. Trey Lyles is not playing, from Indianapolis, Indiana. Both of those guys are top of the rotation players.
Ulis has it taken away. Good defense that time by Gary Florimon.
See, there are 2 things that need to happen right now. One is our camera people need to ask for a raise, because clearly the job is harder than it looks. Yes. And the second thing is Kenny Payne needs to ask for a raise, because Kentucky has played better today than they did yesterday.
I think Coach Payne might clip that off and bring it to Coach Cal.
Bring it to Mitch Barnhart.
Exactly. Well, here's Lee, right-handed jump hook, easy as that. Deshaun Butler.
Boy, the core of big guys that Kentucky has, you know, Marcus Lee, Karl Towns, Willie Cauley-Stein, Trey Lyles. It really impressive. I mean, an NBA-sized and NBA caliber front line.
It's been all Cats here in the second half. A 25-point lead. Dakari Johnson, one of the many, feasting here in the second half. Cats lead it by 25. Kevin Connors, Jay Billis, and our entire Big Blue Bahamas crew. A 78-53 Kentucky lead here. 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go in the second half. Jay, we've talked about it a lot. An embarrassment of riches on the front line for Kentucky.
And mostly they've been embarrassing opponents. Karl Towns with the fake handoff off the inbounds play, showing his skill going to the basket. Dakari Johnson running the floor, getting a play in transition, then off the ball screen and roll to the basket. Alex Poythress, Marcus Lee inside. It's just name after name, and that doesn't include 6'10" freshman Trey Lyles from Indianapolis, nor Willie Cauley-Stein, a junior that was expected to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA if he had come out into the draft last year. I mean, it is a huge basketball team with length, with athleticism, and with the ability to play with other people.
Willis lobbed it up to Lee, and it was an errant pass that time. You know, it's one thing to root for your teammates, right? Obviously, you hope your whole team buys into that, Jay. But to me, it's infectious that players want to step up their own game when they see their own teammates playing so well.
Yeah, I think that's true. And that's why I think the practices that Kentucky will have this year will be as competitive as any practices in America.
Outside of the NBA, you're going to see these 10 players, 12 players that are going to be going at each other. If you don't bring it every day in practice, you're going to get embarrassed. And playing time is going to be at issue throughout the whole season. And that's a great thing for competition every day in practice, and competition makes you better. A lot of teams try to simulate that competition. Kentucky's going to be playing, their practices are going to be harder than a good many of their early season games, I believe.
I mean, that is a major statement to make as we see the reserves. Todd Lanter and E.J. Flory will check into the game for Kentucky.
Todd Lanter, 2 times academic All-SEC. Now, think about this, though, Kevin. Like, the second 5, the second unit for Kentucky, where would you rank them in the country?
Right.
I mean, it'd clearly be a top 20 team.
No doubt about it.
Now, maybe top 15, who knows, top 15, whatever. I haven't sat down to do all the math on every team in the country. But you could cut this team in half and have 2 top 20 basketball teams. How many teams in America could do that?
By my count, none. And Coach Calipari talked about, obviously, there's only so many minutes that you can play guys, 200 minutes in a game. But to split that up between 9, 10, 11 players, he said, I don't look at anybody like they're a backup. There are no backups. Everybody is a starter. As a guy who may find himself in the starting lineup at some point or other, Karl Towns throws another one in.
But what that really means is that these players don't have to pace themselves. They can go all out all the time. And you can be more productive with this unit in fewer minutes. And you can wear teams out and foul them out. The one thing that you can't do, you hear people sometimes say, hey, with all these big guys, they've got 20 fouls to waste. Well, I don't care how many players you got, you do not waste fouls. You don't put the other team in the 1-and-1 and put them at the free throw line for common fouls. But they can certainly wear you out with their energy level, their physicality, and the fact that they can come at you in talented waves.
Ulis too long on the 3 as we near the 32nd mark of the second half here, dominated by Kentucky. Lanter, who grabbed the rebound just a minute ago, almost had the steal, and now Charlons-Reims turns it over once more.
And you got to thank our great crew, Rick Walensick, who's done a great job as our producer, and then our fine cameraman, John Calipari. Thank you for all those great pictures on the Cal Cam.
He's been itching to get in there and direct now. I don't know if Neil Gallo's going to give up that job here. Coach Cal will not get credit for this victory. It'll go to his assistant, Kenny Payne, but a dominating performance from about the 8-minute mark of the first half on. Kentucky, no problem. The 81-58 victory over Charlons-Reims. In many ways, a dominant team effort. In many ways, dominant individual efforts. Both Aaron and Andrew Harrison were dynamite again. We thank Willie Cauley-Stein for joining us here midway through the game. But Tyler Ulis, the diminutive freshman, outstanding once again. Dominique Hawkins played well. 6-foot sophomore who will be angling for playing time himself this season. And another breakout performance by Karl Towns Jr., the freshman out of Metuchen, New Jersey. Trending on Twitter midway through this game. That ought to give you an idea of just how impressive he was to America. One of the real stars of the game, Alex Poythress. Dynamite again, as he was in the victory over Puerto Rico. As you look back to how Kentucky got it done, Karl Towns, the freshman, teaming up with the fellow freshman Tyler Ulis. 6'11", 235. Matching size and ability with many of the big men on the Charlons-Reims team, the professional team in the A division of France. He was up to the challenge in many ways in this game. Once again, another terrific performance by Karl Towns, the freshman, as Kentucky rolls to the 81-58 victory. A look at some stats here. 10 rebounds, 19 points for Karl Towns. But it was Jay Billis, another breakout performance by Alex Poythress. 16 points, 8 rebounds. Alex is standing by with Jay.
Alex Poythress had another great game. And Alex, your energy level has seemed to be off the charts, that In the last 2 games, you have played exclusively to your strengths. How have you felt about the way you performed?
I felt pretty good. You know, it's a great starting point for the season upcoming. You know, we're just trying to take advantage of what we got, the opportunity we got, and just trying to look forward.
Now, as an older player, you're a junior, an old man on this team. How has your role changed as far as bringing the young guys along?
Me and Willie both are the old guys, you know, I guess. You know, we just got to bring the team together, you know, just be the leaders of the team, you know, along with the twins, you know, just trying to just keep this group close together.
Now, it has to be fun to be able to come at a team in waves. You guys have been platooning, but one of the great things to watch about this Kentucky team is how you share the ball. It's an unselfish team, isn't it?
Yeah, we're a special team. You know, we got a lot of great players. Everybody, we can go 10 deep, we can go 12 deep, really. You know, we got Willie and Trey out, you know. We're just a great group of guys, you know. We're just trying to just play hard out there.
Well, congratulations on a great win. Enjoy Catlantis.
All right, thank you.
Back to you, Kevin.
All right, Jay, thanks very much. Alex Poythress, one of the many stars here as Big Blue Nation enjoying another victory. 81-58, the win over the French professional team Charlons-Reims. 19 points for Karl Towns, 16 for Alex Poythress, leading the way. This was a 7-point game at the half, but in the second half, the Cats took control of this one, and really for the second game in a row, no problem en route to the 81-58 victory. We remind you that tomorrow, you can catch Kentucky in action again against the Puerto Rican B team. We'll see that game 1 Eastern on ESPNU, followed by the debut on the SEC Network. The Kentucky-Dominican Republic matchup comes your way Friday, 1 Eastern, followed by a rematch against this Chalons-Reims team Saturday. And then Sunday, the trip closes with a run against the Dominican Republic, all games 1 Eastern. Once again, our final score, Kentucky 81, Champaign Chalons-Reims 58. Coming up next, it's E60 on ESPNU. For Jay Billis and our entire crew, I'm Kevin Connor saying thanks for watching and so long from Nassau.